When I was in high school in inner city Detroit at Southwestern High School, it wasn't a place that was particularly conducive to learning. In fact, there was a lot of disruption. A lot of times the teachers could not teach what they had prepared to teach that day because they spent the whole hour disciplining people. And a lot of the students were delighted. Hey, we didn't have to learn anything today. They were glad. I was not. I would go back after school and I would say to the teachers, what were you planning to teach today? And they were delighted that I would come back because they knew that somebody would get something out of what they had prepared. And I became the laboratory assistant in biology, chemistry, and physics. And I got to set up all the experiments, which most of the time didn't get done because of disciplinary problems. But because I was setting them up, I got to find out what was supposed to happen. So even though I was in this environment that wasn't particularly conducive to learning, I still learned what I needed to learn to do very well on the SATs and to go on to Yale University. It was a matter of taking responsibility onto myself. That's the most important thing that I'm going to say today, that you need to understand. The person who is most responsible for what happens to you is you. You're the ones who get to make those decisions. And don't become an excuse maker. Because I have noticed in life that the most successful people are the people who accept responsibility. And the people who have the most trouble are the ones who always blame somebody else. Always somebody else's fault. And if it's somebody else's fault, then you don't have to do anything. And if you don't do anything, you're not going to be an achiever. It's as simple as that. So you get to make that choice, and it makes all the difference in the world. And as I learned those kinds of things, I was able to get through the system. And this is not to say that there weren't obstacles in the way. There were plenty of people along the way who told me what I couldn't do. When it came to separating conjoined twins, I had plenty of people say, no one's been able to do that before. When it came to coming up with an operation for infant sudden death, an achondroplasty, we came up with an operation, a way that we could decompress the brainstem without killing the patient. And people say, no, can't do that. There was a lot of opposition. When I went to the first international conference on human skeletal dysplasia in Rome, and I started talking about this operation, and a lot of the geneticists from around the world were saying, oh, no, this is heresy. You can't do that, you surgeons. You kill these people. But I persisted, and now, that operation is standard procedure all around the world. The key thing which you have to remember is that you have to be persistent. You have to understand what it is that you're trying to do. You have to make sure that you thoroughly understand what you're doing. And you have to know where to place your faith. And I want to end with my prescription for success in life. It is to think big. Each one of those letters means something special. The T is for talent, which God gave to every single person, not just the ability to sing and dance and throw a ball. And I don't have anything against sports and entertainment. But what will maintain the position in the world of this nation? The ability to shoot a 25-foot jump shot or the ability to solve a quadratic equation? You make that decision. You get to decide that in your life. The H is for honesty. Lead a clean and honest life. Because if you put skeletons in the closet, they will come back to haunt you just when you don't want to see them. And they can destroy your life. And if you always tell the truth, you don't have to try to remember what you said 3 months ago. We need to have standards, and we need to have values, and we need to understand the value of family, and we need to understand the importance of compassion for your fellow man. And we need to bring back all the things that were so vital to holding the African American community together during slavery and in the post-slavery period when there was everything against us. Now we don't have all those things against us. and we're against ourselves because we don't have any principles. And we just have to stop doing that and recognize that the doors have been opened. And if we go through those doors, we take advantage of the opportunities that are available and we support each other. You know, the things that can be accomplished are almost incomprehensible. And it can be your generation that really does that. Stop the downward spiral and start the upward spiral. The I is for insight, which comes from listening to people who've already gone where you're trying to go. Learn from their triumphs and learn from their mistakes. The N is for nice. Be nice to people. Because once they get over their suspicion of why you're being nice, they'll be nice to you. And you can get a lot more done when you're being nice and they're being nice. The K is for knowledge, which is the thing that makes you into a more valuable person. Do I have a big house? Yes. Do I have a lot of cars? Yes. I like cars. I grew up in Detroit. Do I have a lot of things that Robin Leach of Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous thinks are important? Yes. Are they important? No. And if they all disappeared today, I don't even care. You know why? Because I can get them all right back almost immediately with what's up here. And that's what Solomon, the wisest man who ever lived, meant when he said gold, silver, and rubies are nice, but to be treasured far above those things, knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, because he knew with those, you get all the gold and silver and rubies you wanted, but you also come to understand that those things don't amount to a hill of beans. And that the most important thing is developing your God-given talents to the point where you become valuable to the people around you. The K is knowledge. The B is for books, which is the mechanism for obtaining that knowledge. And some people say, I don't need to read books. I can learn everything I need to learn by watching DVDs and videos. That's like saying you can develop your muscles by watching somebody else lift weights. You know, you have to work with your mind if you want your mind to work with you. The I is for in-depth learning, learning for the sake of knowledge and understanding, as opposed to superficial learning. Those are people who cram before a test, sometimes do okay. 3 weeks later, know nothing. We really can't afford that. And the last letter, G, is for God, who has become politically incorrect in our society. People want to throw him out. But I can tell you, there is nothing better than having a relationship with God and having faith in God. And it is one of the things that allowed this nation to survive. And you know, during the last Constitutional Convention in 1787 in Philadelphia, the whole structure was about to disintegrate. The small states, the large states, they all had different opinions about how things should be done. There was so much ruckus, they had just decided, just everybody for themselves. And then the elder statesman, 81-year-old Benjamin Franklin, stood up in front of that whole assembly and he said, gentlemen, stop. He said, during the Revolutionary War, every other word out of your mouth was, Lord, help us. And he did. But now you don't even want to talk about it. And he said, we need to get down on our knees and we need to pray and ask God to give us wisdom. And they all knelt down and they prayed and they got up and they put together a 16 1/3 page document known as the Constitution of the United States, which has stood the test of time. And do you know that was the beginning of starting every congressional session with prayer. So people who say that we are not a Judeo-Christian nation, they do not even know what happens to start this nation. And our founding document, the Declaration of Independence, talks about certain inalienable rights given to us by our Creator, also known as God. The Pledge of Allegiance to our flag says we are one nation under God. Most courtrooms in the land on the wall, it says, in God we trust. Every coin in your pocket, every bill in your wallet says, in God we trust. So if it's in our founding documents, it's in our pledge, it's in our courts, and it's on our money, but we're not supposed to talk about it, what in the world is that? In medicine, we call it schizophrenia. It's a form of craziness. And you know, we need to get over that. And we need to understand that it's okay to live by godly principles of loving your fellow man, of caring about your neighbor, of developing your God-given talents to the utmost so that you become valuable to the people around you, of having values and principles that govern your life. And if we do that, not only will this remain a pinnacle nation, but we will truly have one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You've been a great audience, and we're very proud of you.